Hello, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Katerina Satori. If this is the first time we meet, welcome. And what I do in the world, I am a transformational business coach, and most of my work is focused on really helping people to communicate effectively, and especially in the highly charged emotional situations. So I had a question from one of my listeners, and this is a question that's probably going to come up for a lot of people during the holiday season. So hopefully you can relate. And the question is, with the holidays coming up, I'm starting to feel some anxiety visiting family. Sometimes there's drama and sometimes there's not. How do you remain your best self under pressure, especially around your loved ones who know how to push your buttons? So, great question. And, it really helped me to revisit all the times when I would visit my relatives that my buttons were pushed, and it can be very challenging, right? It can be very challenging because you love your family, you love your relatives. And at times when you spend time with them, you go back and you revert to where you were 5-year-old, defenseless against their attack or maybe against their probing, because they really know how to push their buttons. And one kind of a mindset upgrade I would like to offer you is this one, that hopefully will bring you a lot of peace and will help you to ease in that anxiety with the holidays. And it goes really simple like that. Your family will always want you to remain as you are, as they remember you, right? You remember you when you were a kid, a teenager. Your family, all they want is they just want a peace of mind. They're not excited about your changes. Sorry to break this up for you. And they're not that excited about your reinvention or your transformation. Why? Because it really distorts the idea of who they used you to be. So your family just wants a peace of mind, right? If you know that, it will help you to adjust your approach. And what is that you want? Well, I would guess you want to be accepted for who you are, right? In all your reinvention, in all your changes, in all your new versions of you. So there is a conflict. They want you to remain the same as what they remembered you, and you want to be accepted as you are. So what can you do? What can you do in that situation? I have 3 simple tools for you that you can pack with you before you go visit your family. And the very first tool is simple but incredibly powerful. Before you arrive and reconnect with your relatives, really set an intention. Set a powerful intention coming from your spirit and from your heart, and see the end result before it happened. Spend a few minutes, 15 minutes or so, before you even enter your family house, your parents' house, or your relative house, that family dinner. Before you even enter that interaction, set the stage and see the end result. Imagine the connection. Imagine that this evening with your family will surprise you with how genuine it goes and how connected you all feel. Really play out that ideal scenario in your mind. It might sound so simple. However, if you experiment with that, you will see that the energy will move, because you are approaching the situation not from a place of anxiety or fear, but from a place of positive expectation. So it's tip number 1. Number 2, always have plan B. What is your plan B? What is your regroup strategy? Let's say you are in a family dinner and your Aunt Laura or Aunt Mary begins to ask you the same question that you hate the most is, are you still single? Have you been in those situations? And maybe the Aunt Mary wants to hook you up with somebody from her local church that you're probably not going to be excited about. So when that conversation happens again and again, and you feel under attack and you may be feeling overwhelmed, have some kind of exit strategy. Maybe you need to go and get some fresh air. Maybe you need to go and just simply read. Whatever that you do, just remove yourself from interaction if it gets too intense for you, right? And regroup, refocus on your positive expectation, positive intention. And when you feel you're grounded and centered again, you come back. And if your situation, a family situation, even more intense than that, just remember, you don't have to stay with your family house. You can stay at the hotel, and then you can come for dinner or for interaction. And then when you had enough, simply go back to your plan B. And I do this because, my family lives in Russia, and that's where I'm originally from. So when I go visit, it can be quite an intense experience. They are in their own process, on their own journey, and they can be quite a lot to take in. A lot of drama can just come spontaneously. And I used to stay with my mom and my sister in their home, and I would get drained on the day 2. I just couldn't take it anymore. So what I began doing is staying in a hotel and just coming and visiting them and spending time with them. And everybody was become much more peaceful. So the third step that I would share with you, the third kind of little tip, is really avoid debating. When some of your family members want to challenge you on your new beliefs, on what is it you do in the world, or what is it you don't do in the world, instead of debating or defending yourself, because if you debate or defend yourself, you create more friction, right? You're just feeding that energy. You're just feeding that negative energy. Instead, simply adopt a mindset of an observer. Simply, when somebody challenges you, or from your family members, somebody just pushes your button, simply say, that's an interesting perspective. Thanks for sharing this. I haven't thought of this before. Tell me more. You can say something like that, or you can say, thank you so much for sharing, and then redirect the conversation. What was the most exciting thing that happened to you last week? Redirect the conversation from emotionally charged to thank you so much for sharing. That's an interesting perspective. I haven't thought of this before. And redirect the conversation. Take the power back by asking a question. Remember, you control the conversation if you ask questions. So arrive to your family meeting with insightful and conversation-sparkling questions. Things like, well, what are you excited about for the next year? What is the biggest project that you're working on? Tell me about something good that happened. Tell me that something that made you laugh. So all your questions, if you design them that they're positively focused, that they inspire good conversation instead of simply listening to complaints or gossip or anything like that, you could redirect the conversation. And the final piece is that, there is importance of reestablishing healthy boundaries with your family. This could be very vulnerable experience, and I understand that. And at the same time, if your family members get used to pushing your buttons, get used to crossing your personal boundaries, there's a great opportunity for you to redefine those boundaries, to reestablish your boundaries. But before you can do that, you have to do an inquiry work and ask yourself, well, what are my boundaries? How do I know that my boundaries crossed? How can I reaffirm my boundaries? How can I reestablish them? And this can be a vulnerable experience, and at the same time, it will create an incredible level of renewed relationship with your family members. Sometimes your family will take a little bit of adjusting to your new boundaries. They might go to manipulation or blame or attack. And this is your opportunity to really stand up for yourself, to really let them know that you're not a 5-year-old that they're used to treating that way. And I had to do this work myself with my family, and with my older sister, the boundaries were crossed and violated so much because I didn't make it clear that this is not okay. She simply kept crossing my boundaries. And, it took some time for me to really stand up for myself and say, this is not okay. And, this is how we're going to do it from now on. And in a relationship with my sister, there was a time we had a very, very rocky road. There was a time where I stopped talking to her for an entire year. And it was not not a comfortable experience, but it had to be done. And then after that year, we found a way to reconcile and begin speaking again, but from a place of new boundaries and new level of communication. And it's really powerful when you heal your relationship with your parents, where you establish firm boundaries and begin. What that happens, they begin to see you from a new level of respect, you guys, from completely new level of respect. Instead of, they've been used to pushing you around, pushing your buttons. Now you're sending a message that you are not going to tolerate that, because you get what you tolerate. That's the simple truth. And if you feel an anxiety, if you feel concern, going to your family, my question is to you, why do you go? Where is it coming from? Is it from a place of obligation that you have to be there? Well, maybe there is an opportunity to look deeper and say, maybe this is the time for me to have a conversation with my family, which is vulnerable and real. And it can go something like this. Mom and Dad, I was really excited to see you this holidays. And, the last few times I came to visit, no matter how much I loved spending time with you, there were moments where I felt being backed in the corner. There were moments where, I got overwhelmed, and it was just, there was a lot of drama. Well, it was a lot of gossip, and I would love to see you. However, I would love to have a conversation with you. How can we create a mutually enjoyable situation, a mutually enjoyable evening for all involved? Do you have any ideas of that? And really being brave in that conversation, really communicating to your family members that you're coming from a good intention. You want peace, you want harmony, and you honor yourself enough to stand up for yourself and not let them walk over you. It takes courage, it takes vulnerability, and at the same time, this kind of conversation will create a new level of openness, a new level of respect from them to you, and a new possibility of deepening that relationship from a genuine intention. Hopefully, these little tips will ease your unsettling feeling, and you will go and see your family during holidays from empowered place. And thank you so much for tuning in. And if you would like to learn a little bit more how I can help you transform your relationships, business or personal, just send me a private message. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to connect with people in my community, in my tribe, and serve you if there is a fit. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season, and really see your family from a positive expectations. Lead with your courage, lead with your vulnerability, with strategic questions, and then let go of the rest.